The Craigslist ad was almost too good to be true. Roommate wanted, master bedroom in 2BR apartment, Williamsburg, $950 month, must be clean, employed, and drama-free, LGBTQ plus friendly. In a city where finding affordable housing felt like winning the lottery, this was a jackpot. I responded within minutes, and by the end of the week I was meeting the current tenant at a coffee shop in Brooklyn. His name was Derek Mitchell. He was 26, worked in finance, and looked like he'd walked out of a fitness magazine. Broad shoulders, athletic build, dark hair styled in that effortlessly messy way that probably took 20 minutes to achieve. When he smiled, it was all teeth and genuine warmth. "You must be Austin," he said, standing to shake my hand. His grip was firm, his hand lingering just a second longer than necessary. "Thanks for meeting me. Thanks for considering me, your place sounds perfect." We talked for an hour. Derek had been living alone for 3 months since his previous roommate moved in with his girlfriend. He worked long hours but was clean, quiet, and according to him, easy to live with. He asked about my job, graphic designer for a small agency, my hobbies, running, reading, probably too much Netflix, and whether I was dating anyone. No, and I wasn't looking. "The LGBTQ plus friendly thing in the ad," I said carefully. "Is that personal or just being inclusive?" "Just being inclusive. I'm straight, but I don't care who you date or bring home. Your life is your life." He smiled again. "My best friend in college was gay. I learned early that it's not complicated, just treat people like people." "That's refreshing. So want to see the place?" The apartment was even better in person. Hardwood floors, huge windows, a kitchen that had been recently renovated. My room was spacious with an actual closet, luxury in New York. "I'll take it," I said without hesitation. "Yeah," Derek looked genuinely pleased. "Great, when can you move in?" "Is this weekend too soon?" "This weekend is perfect." We shook on it, and I tried not to notice how warm his hand was or how his smile made something flutter in my chest. He was straight, conventionally attractive, and about to be my roommate. I needed to get any inappropriate thoughts out of my head immediately. Spoiler alert, I did not get them out of my head. The first week was normal. We established routines, learned each other's schedules, figured out the bathroom situation. Derek worked brutal hours, often leaving at 6 a.m. and not returning until 8 or 9 p.m. I worked from home most days, which meant I had the apartment to myself. It was easy, comfortable, exactly what I needed after my last living situation, a studio with paper-thin walls and a neighbor who practiced trumpet at midnight. Then the touching started. It began innocently enough. Week 2, I was making coffee in the kitchen when Derek came up behind me to grab a mug from the cabinet above my head. His chest pressed against my back for just a second, his arm brushing mine. "Sorry, excuse me," he said, his breath warm against my ear. My heart skipped. No problem. He could have asked me to move, could have waited the 30 seconds until I was done, but he didn't. A few days later, we were both on the couch watching a movie, some action thing Derek had picked. The couch wasn't that small, but somehow Derek kept shifting closer. By the end of the movie, our thighs were pressed together, his arms stretched across the back of the couch behind my shoulders. "This okay?" he asked, noticing me noticing. "Yeah, it's fine." "Good, I'm a tactile person, hope that doesn't weird you out." Doesn't weird me out. But it was starting to mess with my head. The next week, Derek started a new thing, the shoulder squeeze. I'd be working at the kitchen table and he'd come home from the gym, all sweaty and pumped, and squeeze my shoulder as he passed. "Hey roomie, how was your day?" Every single time. And his hand would linger, just for a moment, his thumb brushing against my neck before he'd head to the shower. "He's straight," I told myself repeatedly. "He's just friendly, you're reading into things." But then came the night that made me question everything. We'd both had long days and decided to order pizza and have a beer. One beer turned into 3 and we ended up talking about everything: family, past relationships, dreams we'd given up on, fears we didn't usually voice. "Can I tell you something?" Derek said, his words slightly slurred. "And you can't judge me." "I won't judge." "I think I'm lonely," he laughed, but it sounded sad. "Like I have friends, I date, I'm successful, but I'm still fucking lonely, you know? Like there's this space inside me that never gets filled no matter what I do or who I'm with." I know exactly what you mean, I said quietly. Derek looked at me then, really looked at me, and something passed between us. Something electric and dangerous and completely inadvisable. Austin, you're really, he stopped himself. Never mind, I'm drunk. What were you going to say? Nothing, just, I'm glad you moved in, you're easy to be around, makes this place feel less empty. He stood up, swayed slightly, and reached out to steady himself on my shoulder. But instead of just steadying himself, his hand slid to my neck, his thumb brushing my jaw. You're a good guy, Austin. Then he went to bed, leaving me sitting there, heart pounding, completely confused. After that night, things changed. Derek started working from home more often. He'd set up his laptop at the kitchen table right across from where I worked. Our knees would bump under the table. He'd catch my eye and smile. The shoulder squeezes became more frequent, more lingering. Sometimes his hand would slide down my back before he pulled away. He started suggesting we work out together. I could use a running partner, he said, and you mentioned you run, want to join me tomorrow morning. I should have said no, should have created distance. Instead, I said yes. Running with Derek was torture. He wore compression shorts and a tank top that showed off his arms. He was faster than me, stronger, but he paced himself to stay beside me. And when we stopped to stretch, he'd help me with my form, hands on my hips, adjusting my stance, standing so close I could feel the heat radiating off his body. You're tight here, he'd say, his fingers pressing into my lower back. Need to stretch this out more. Derek, I'm fine. Let me help. And he'd guide me through stretches, his hands on me the entire time, his breath hot on my neck as he leaned in to check my form. He's straight, I reminded myself. This is just how he is, tactile, friendly, it doesn't mean anything. But then came movie night 3 weeks after I moved in. We'd made it a Friday tradition, ordering food, picking a movie, decompressing from the week. This time, Derek picked a horror movie. I hated horror movies. I'll protect you, he said, grinning. I don't need protection. Come on, it'll be fun. He was right about one thing, I did jump at every scare, and Derek thought it was hilarious. You're like a cat, he laughed when I nearly jumped off the couch during a particularly intense scene. This is your fault for picking this movie. Here, Derek opened his arm, come here. What? You're terrified, come here, I don't bite. It was a bad idea, terrible idea, worst idea. I scooted closer and Derek wrapped his arm around me, pulling me against his side. I could feel his heartbeat, smell his cologne, feel the rise and fall of his chest. Better, he asked, his voice low. Yeah, I managed. We stayed like that for the rest of the movie. Derek's fingers traced absent patterns on my shoulder. At one point during a quiet scene, I felt his chin rest gently on top of my head. This wasn't friendly roommate behavior, this was something else, something more. When the movie ended, neither of us moved immediately. Austin, Derek said quietly. Yes. Do you ever feel like, he paused, like you want something but you're not supposed to want it? My heart was racing. What do you mean? Nothing, forget it. He pulled away and the loss of his warmth felt like a physical ache. I should get to bed, early meeting tomorrow. Derek. Good night, Austin. He left me sitting there, confused and frustrated and wanting answers I was afraid to ask for. I lasted 2 more weeks before I couldn't take it anymore. 2 more weeks of lingering touches, meaningful looks, Derek finding excuses to be close to me. 2 weeks of lying in my bed at night, listening to him move around in the next room, wondering if he was thinking about me the way I was thinking about him. It all came to a head on a rainy Tuesday evening. Derek came home drenched from an unexpected downpour. He stripped off his soaked shirt right in the entryway and I tried not to stare at his chest, his abs, the water droplets running down his skin. Didn't check the weather, he said, laughing. I'm an idiot. Towel's in the bathroom. Can you grab it? I'm dripping everywhere. I got the towel and brought it to him. When I handed it over, our fingers brushed and Derek caught my wrist. Austin, I need to ask you something. Okay. Am I making you uncomfortable with the touching, the closeness? I've noticed you've been kind of distant this week and I thought maybe. No, I interrupted, you're not making me uncomfortable. Then what's wrong? Derek, I took a breath. I need to know what this is, what we're doing, because from where I'm standing, this feels like more than just roommates being friendly, and I need to know if I'm imagining it or if. You're not imagining it, Derek said quietly. The words hung between us. But you're straight. I thought I was. He was still holding my wrist, his thumb brushing against my pulse point. I've always been attracted to women, always dated women, never questioned it, and then you moved in and everything got complicated. Complicated how? I can't stop thinking about you. I find excuses to touch you because I need to. When you're not here, I miss you. When you are here, I want to be closer. And Austin, I have no idea what that means or what I am or what I'm doing, but I know I feel something for you that I've never felt for anyone else. You feel something, I repeated, barely breathing. I'm terrified, Derek admitted, because I don't know how to do this, don't know what I am, but I know I don't want to stop touching you, don't want to stop being close to you, and if that makes me not straight, then I guess I'm not straight. Derek. Can I kiss you? He interrupted, his voice rough. Please, I've been wanting to for weeks and I need to know if. I kissed him before he could finish. It was desperate and intense and everything I'd been dreaming about. Derek made a sound, surprise or relief or want, and pulled me closer, his hands tangling in my hair, his body pressing against mine. When we broke apart, we were both breathing hard. Oh my God, Derek whispered. Oh my God, that was. Yeah. I want to do that again. Please. We kissed again, slower this time, learning each other. Derek's hands roamed my back, my sides, like he was trying to memorize me through touch. When we finally broke apart, he was smiling. So I'm definitely not straight, he said. Definitely not. I don't know what I am, but I know I want you. Is that enough? It's enough to start. The next few weeks were a study in figuring things out. Derek was experiencing what I'd gone through years ago, the confusion, the questioning, the fear of labels and what they meant. But he was also experiencing the joy of discovery, of finally understanding something about himself that had been missing. I think I might be bisexual, he said one night as we lay in his bed. We'd graduated to sharing a bed almost immediately. Or maybe pansexual. I'm still attracted to women, but I'm also very attracted to you specifically. You don't have to label it right away, I told him. Labels can help, but they can also box you in, just be you. And if me is someone who's in love with his roommate. I turned to face him. Did you just say you're in love with me? Derek looked terrified and hopeful in equal measure. Yeah, I did. Is that crazy? We've only been, whatever this is, for 3 weeks. I've been in love with you since week 2, I admitted. When you first started with the shoulder squeezes, when you made me feel seen and wanted and like I was more than just the guy paying half the rent. I was falling for you then too, I just didn't know what to call it. He pulled me closer. This is real, right? This isn't just some crisis or confusion. Does it feel like confusion? No, it feels like the most certain I've been about anything in years. Then it's real. But reality meant more than just the two of us in our apartment bubble. Derek had friends, family, a whole life built on the assumption that he was straight. And now he had to figure out how or whether to change that narrative. My parents are coming to visit next month, he said nervously. They'll want to meet you. As your roommate or as your boyfriend? I don't know, what do you want? I want to be your boyfriend, officially, not hiding, but Derek, I need to know you're ready for that. Coming out isn't easy and I won't push you into something you're not prepared for. Derek was quiet for a long moment. Then, I want to tell them, I want them to know I'm with you. I'm scared shitless, but I want them to know. Are you sure? I've spent my whole life being who everyone expected me to be, the straight son, the finance guy, the person who checked all the boxes. But Austin, being with you is the first time I've felt like myself, really myself. And yeah, my parents might freak out and my friends might be confused, but I'm done hiding the best thing that's ever happened to me. You're pretty smooth when you want to be. I'm a disaster, but I'm your disaster. Damn right you are. Derek's parents arrived on a Friday afternoon. Richard and Patricia Mitchell were exactly what I expected, polished, successful, with the kind of casual wealth that came from generations of good investments. Patricia wore pearls to a casual lunch. Richard had a golf tan and a firm handshake. So you're the roommate, Richard said, sizing me up. Derek's mentioned you. All good things, I hope. He said you're a graphic designer, interesting field. The subtext was clear, not as impressive as finance but acceptable. Lunch was at an expensive restaurant in Manhattan. Derek was tense beside me, his knee bouncing under the table. Halfway through the meal, he reached over and took my hand. His parents noticed immediately. Derek, Patricia's voice was carefully neutral. What's going on? Mom, Dad, there's something I need to tell you. Derek's hand tightened around mine. Austin isn't just my roommate, he's my boyfriend. We've been together for 2 months and I'm in love with him. The silence that followed was deafening. You're gay, Richard finally said. I'm bisexual, I think, still figuring out the specifics, but yes, I'm with Austin and this is serious. Patricia looked between us, her expression unreadable. How long have you known? About being bisexual, a few months. About my feelings for Austin, since the day he moved in. And you're sure about this? This isn't just experimentation. I'm sure, Derek said firmly. Mom, I know this isn't what you expected, but Austin is important to me. He's made me happier than I've been in years, and I need you to respect that. Richard was studying me now. Austin, what are your intentions with my son? Dad, Derek started. It's okay, I said. I looked Richard in the eye. I love your son, he's brilliant and kind and brave as hell for doing this right now. My intention is to support him, be with him, and build something real together. That's all I want. You love him, Patricia repeated softly. Very much. She looked at Derek, then back at me. You know, Derek hasn't brought anyone home in 3 years, not since that girl Madison who we all knew was wrong for him. He's been going through the motions, dating, working, being successful, but there was something missing, something that made him actually happy. Mom, let me finish. She reached across the table and took both our hands. I can see it now, in the way he looks at you, the way you look at each other. That's what was missing. And if that means my son is bisexual, then he's bisexual. Labels don't matter, your happiness does. Derek's eyes were wet. Really? Really? She squeezed our hands. Though I wish you'd told us sooner, we could have skipped the awkward lunch tension. Richard was slower to come around, but by the end of lunch he was asking me questions about my work, my family, my plans. Getting to know me as a person, not just the boyfriend. When we left the restaurant, Derek pulled me into a fierce hug. Thank you, he whispered. For what? For being brave enough to hold my hand, for making me want to be brave too. Always. 6 months later. Living with Derek as my boyfriend was different from living with him as my roommate who I was desperately attracted to, different in the best possible ways. We'd fully merged lives now. His clothes in my closet, my books on his shelves, the apartment that had been his became ours. We cooked together, cleaned together, fought about whose turn it was to do dishes, and made up enthusiastically afterward. Derek had come out to his friends gradually. Most were supportive, a few were confused but trying. His work life remained separate. He wasn't hiding, but he wasn't broadcasting either. One step at a time, he said, and I respected that. My own friends loved him, though my best friend Sarah had pulled me aside after meeting him. That's your roommate turned boyfriend? Austin, he's gorgeous and clearly obsessed with you. How did you not combust from sexual tension? I nearly did, multiple times. I would have lasted maybe 3 days before jumping him. I lasted 3 weeks, it was character building. Tonight was our 6-month anniversary, both of dating and of me moving in. Derek had insisted on cooking dinner, which was sweet but concerning given his culinary skills. It's not on fire, he called from the kitchen. That's progress. I laughed, setting the table. The bar is so low. Hey, I'm trying. For you, I'm becoming a functional adult who can cook things beyond eggs and toast. Dinner was actually good, pasta with homemade sauce that only had a few burnt bits. We ate by candlelight, talking about our days, our plans for the weekend, the trip to meet my parents we had scheduled for next month. Nervous, I asked. Terrified, what if they hate me? They won't hate you, my mom already loves you from FaceTime. Dad's reserving judgment, but that's just how he is. And Mia is going to interrogate you about your intentions. Your little sister is 12. And protective of her brother, she's already threatened to destroy you if you hurt me. I'm shaking in my boots, Derek grinned. but seriously, thank you. For what? For being patient with me, for letting me figure out who I am at my own pace, for not making me feel like I had to have everything figured out before we could be together. Derek, I fell in love with you while you were still discovering yourself. I wasn't going to abandon you in the middle of that journey. I know, but still. He stood, came around the table, and pulled me up into his arms. 6 months ago, I didn't even know I could feel like this. Didn't know I was capable of loving someone the way I love you. You changed my entire life, Austin. You changed mine too. Before you, I was just existing. Now I'm actually living. Derek kissed me slow and deep and full of promise. When we broke apart, he was smiling. Remember when you thought I was straight? Remember when you thought you were straight? Fair point, he laughed. Thank God for Craigslist and desperate apartment hunting. Thank God for a guy who's so tactile he couldn't keep his hands to himself. In my defense, I was trying really hard to fight it. I just failed spectacularly. Best failure ever. We cleaned up dinner together, then settled on the couch, our couch now in our apartment, living our life. Derek pulled me against his side, his arm around my shoulders in that way that had become so natural I couldn't remember not fitting there. Hey Austin. Yes. I'm glad you couldn't ignore it, the touching, the excuses. All of it. Me too. Because if you'd ignored it, I might have kept lying to myself forever. You made me brave enough to be honest. We made each other brave, I corrected. Deal. And as we sat there, wrapped up in each other, I thought about how a Craigslist ad led to a roommate who became my best friend, who became the love of my life. How sometimes the best things start with someone finding excuses to be close to you. How the scariest thing, falling for your straight roommate, turned into the best thing when he turned out not to be straight after all. My roommate kept finding excuses to touch me. And I couldn't ignore it. Thank God I didn't. The end. For everyone who's ever fallen for their roommate, who's felt that electric touch and wondered if it meant something, who's watched someone discover themselves and fall in love at the same time. Sometimes the person living in your apartment is living in your heart too. Sometimes straight is just a label waiting to be questioned. And sometimes the best love stories start with someone who just can't stop finding excuses to be close to you. Red.